All right, ladies and gentlemen, Revolution went down last night, and as usual, AEW puts on a great card with one major miss, but let's just dive right into it because you're here and you're asking yourself, well, what just happened? Well, I'm gonna tell you, we had 4 matches on the pre-show. The first one was Hologram and Komander defeating Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Hologram and Komander were very much over. Dan Garcia, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Carlie defeated Shane Taylor Promotions because, well, Shane Taylor Promotions always lose matches. We were supposed to get Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor World Championship versus Gravity, but he and the rest of the Learning Tree attacked him, and Bandito tried to make the save, but he got beat down as well, as the Learning Tree took off of Gravity's mask. And then the quote-unquote main event of the pre-show was the team of Big Boom, AJ, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe taking on MXM Collection and Johnny TV, and of course the faces won here. The crowd really loved it. And we get to the main show. We had a packed house. This was the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. And we start off with Hangman Adam Page versus Maxwell Jacob Freeman. And this was a good match with some really strong emotion here, as I think we're going to continue with this feud, but these two put on a really quality affair. It did get a little hard-hitting and did get a little dirty, but ultimately Hangman Page won. This was a good, clean, decisive win for Hangman, and overall the intensity of this feud really helped it. There weren't any spamming of finishers or kickouts. The story was MJF trying to avoid the buckshot. He broke down because he couldn't believe, that Hangman was still getting cheered over him. Then we had the TBS Championship being defended as Mercedes Moné defended against Momo Watanabe, and this was a solid affair. It ran a good 20 minutes. It took a minute for the crowd to really get going, but once Momo started turning the tide and really showing what she's made of, why she's such a good wrestler, the crowd really picked up into this. We had dueling chants of "Let's Go Momo" and CEO. This was really good. Ultimately, Mercedes Moné won. This was a clean finish. If this feud had been built up just a little bit more, maybe we could have believed that Momo Watanabe could have won the match, but this was solid. And more importantly, Billy Starks is watching in the back and taking notes. It looks like we have our next feud for Mercedes Moné. Then we had Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland, and ladies and gentlemen, the crowd woke up for this one. These two put on just an excellent affair. They know each other very well. There was a point in the match where Prince Nana left Swerve and gave him the finger because he wasn't getting the job done. Remember, this match was more to Nana about getting the role back, getting the legacy back, but this match was also for the number 1 contendership to the AEW World Championship. And ultimately, it was all for naught on Ricochet's part as Swerve Strickland won the match. The energy for this was very good. I mean, during the match, Prince Nana even came back out to get the robe back, and it kind of helped Swerve win. The Nana drama felt a little bit weird, but at the end of the match, Swerve and Nana reconciled as Swerve handed the robe to Nana. He danced, and the fans were left happy with this one. Then we had Kazuchika Okada defending the Continental Championship versus Brody King. And yes, Brody King was super over. He has proved himself time and again in these one-on-one affairs, but ultimately, he was never going to win this match. He gave Okada a lot. Okada took a lot, but ultimately Okada won with the Rainmaker. Brody King, like I said, acquitted himself well, but he was never winning this match. Okada now moves on to face one of his 2 true rivals, but we will get to that later in the evening. We will see what's next with Brody King and the rest of the Hounds of Hell. King's push was really good. He stays over. It kind of deflated the crowd with him losing. I might have had this match earlier on the card. Then we had the AEW World Tag Team Championships being defended as the Hurt Syndicate defended against the Outrunners, and both of these teams were super over, but ultimately the Hurt Syndicate were never going to win. We're never going to lose this match This was obviously going to be the shortest match on the card. Truth Magnum, Turbo Ford really did their best, but Kurt Syndicate were way too much for them. Actually, Andretti and Leo Rush were smiling at rings. So it looks like they might be the next tag team challengers, but we should really get back to the Hurt Syndicate versus the Murder Machines. These dudes are over, and it's going to be really hard to take the tag team championships from them. Next up, we had my opinion, the true main event match, the Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm defending against Mariah May. And ladies and gentlemen, this was everything and more. Jim Ross joined us on commentary for this match, and Mariah May came out looking beautiful as always, kind of dressed like a bride, but it was also a funeral for Toni Storm. And as Toni Storm was coming out, Mariah May attacked her, and just from the get-go, this was balls to the wall. Mariah drop kicked Luther through a table. Tony's getting chants. The blood was flowing heavily. It was really sometimes tough to see, but these women went all out and going through chairs. They're going through tables, and the big money part of this match is when they both brought out metal buckets, and in those metal buckets was athletic tape, which they wrapped opposite, so the sticky side was on the outside, and in that bucket were glass. It was a champagne bottle that Mariah May had broken over Tony's head, and next thing you know, they are trying to swing on each other with these glass covered fists, and Tony landed the first punch, and then she poured the glass into the ring and then used the bottle on Mariah. Mariah came in with a low blow, and this was really becoming a horror film, like Excalibur has said. Hurricane rounds on the glass. Mariah was now finally bleeding heavily. Tony was bleeding. This was an absolutely amazing affair. Tony hit a Storm Zero. It was for naught as Mariah kicked out, and they make their way up to the stage. Mariah is trying to fight back as she's running away from Tony. Tony has the shoe that Mariah used on her, and man, oh man, the crowd was loving this, and out of respect, that's what was shown. Finally, after Tony just bludgeoned Mariah with the shoe she gave her, a Storm Zero through the table, and pinned her 1, 2, 3. This was a beautiful match, and on the screen it said the end, and these two were draped on top of each other. It was beautiful. I don't know where Mariah May goes from here, but this match felt long, and it only went 13 minutes. This was an absolutely fantastic match. This should have been the main event. Next up, we had Konosuke Takeshita defending the International Championship versus Kenny Omega. And you know the story. Takeshita has Kenny's number, beat this man twice in 1 week. And this was a good contrast to the match that came before, the match that came after. There was a lot of countering in here. There was a lot of hard hits, especially coming from Takeshita. But these two are honestly very evenly matched. Occasionally it felt like Takeshita had the upper hand, but Takeshita was smart in attacking Kenny's ribs and attacking the gut. Well, you know Kenny's coming back from that diverticulitis. But ultimately, in a shocking turn of events, Kenny Omega won the match, and he won with, get this, a leverage pin. V-triggers didn't work. The One Wing Angel didn't work. Everything about this was beautiful, and Kenny Omega wins the International Championship, and that's one loss for Don Callis. But Don Callis did get involved in the match, but ultimately his alpha failed to defeat the Omega. Then we had the steel cage match between Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, another one of Don Callis' boy versus one of Don Callis' former boys again. So I like the juxtaposition here of the back-to-back. If anything, I would have had, if you're going to put these two right here in the middle, I would have had the world title and Mariah and Tony swapped. But Kenny did great. So can Will Ospreay follow up? And ladies and gentlemen, Will Ospreay followed up. AEW doesn't do a lot of steel cage matches, and these two dudes went all out with the biggest spot of the match being a Spanish fly off the top of the cage. Mark Davis got involved. Don Callis got involved. These men were beaten profusely, And you could feel the hate. You could hear the hate coming from Kyle Fletcher. But man, oh man, oh man. The thumbtacks with the Styles Clash. It's very, very hard to describe everything that went on here. All you need to know is Will Ospreay won, and both of Don Callis' boys lost. So how does the family move forward? Because you figure the Murder Machines, they might be losing next. But Will Ospreay gets his revenge over Kyle Fletcher. He hits him with the Tiger Driver after Kyle Fletcher yelled, "I effing hate you, you son of a bitch. Fuck you." Ospreay hit the hidden blade and did not hesitate on the Tiger Driver 91. That Spanish Fly looked horrible in the best way. We're done. This has to be over, but I highly doubt it is. Then we had the main event, the AEW World Championship. Adam Copeland taking on Jon Moxley as Jon Moxley. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this was fine. It didn't need to be 27 minutes. And it was a good juxtaposition of the two matches that came before. But again, I see why they did what they did. You had a blood match, a regular match, a blood match, and a regular match. I would have maybe changed the order. I was going with the World Championship, then the Steel Cage match, then Kenny, and then Mariah and Tony. But the main event was fine. The real story of this match was Christian, who showed up. He hit the ref and pulled Copeland out of the ring, Mox out of the ring, and that should have been a DQ, but he signed his contract, then making the match a triple threat match. I'm like, okay. He hit Copeland with the spear. Cope kicked out, hit him with an unprettier, kicked out, and then he gets caught in the Bulldog choke. And as he's getting choked by Mox, he puts his arm on top of Copeland, and the ref is counting, and Mox pulls him off again, but ultimately Mox won. Mox won the match. Jay White tried helping. He accidentally hit Copeland with the briefcase as he was taking care of Wheeler Yuta. But ladies and gentlemen, Jon Moxley escapes with the championship. Who would have thought that would happen? As he's leaving, as he's escaping, he's confronted by Prince Nana, and Swerve off the balcony hits a swerve stomp on Copeland. On Mox, and now we have our match. Is this going to be the main event for Dynasty, which I will be attending? It is in Philadelphia. We will see. We shall find out. Yes, the ending of the match was a little deflating, but they saved themselves with that swerve ending because this man is super, super over. But once again, I do believe, along with a lot of people, that won the match of the night was Tony Mariah, and yes, they should have main evented. But that is AEW Revolution in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Come back this week for the High Rush Wrestling Podcast, the recap, and we got Dynasty coming up. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.